Hey guys, this is Joe McNamee. I'm a real estate investor. I do a lot of other things too, but I've been doing real estate for 5 decades and been doing a lot of construction. We do residential, commercial, and industrial. And this is a little tiny, like, I can't even make it small enough, piece of my advanced training program called my Celebrity Real Estate Investing system. Now, before we get going, I want you to just hit the subscribe button to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because we'll be sending you notices each time we're putting out something new like this here. Now, this program here, this little technique, I can see it making you thousands to hundreds of thousands more if you apply it and do it properly. I can see that being possible for you. Now, will every single deal be able to be done like this? Of course not. This is just one additional thing, and it doesn't cost you anything to learn this, but just one additional thing that you could take and add to your toolbox of techniques that you use in your ways of making real estate bring in money for you, but solve the problem. Remember, my motto is solve the problem for a fair profit. Okay, so I hope you enjoy this. Get started now.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Celebrity Real Estate Webinar with Joe McNamee. So later we'll get into questions, and to ask your questions, what you do is raise your hand by pressing the hand icon, or you can type them into the question box. So we'll get into that, so then when that happens, you'll just know how to ask your questions. So without further ado, let's get started. Here's Joe.
Hey, Courtney, did you have Brad Pitt or Jennifer Aniston or any of them lined up to come in on this call today?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm just kidding. Okay. So this is something that I played around with for a while. I haven't really pushed it very much. Celebrity real estate is big business, and a lot of people don't even really realize what's going on. So let's go into my bathroom for a minute. All right, so everybody ready to go? All right, so we're going into my bathroom, and in there's these magazines that my wife gets all the time that are, talks about all the gossip in Hollywood, and this celebrity's doing this and that one's doing that, and this one spent this much money this week on a purse and blah blah blah. So in there you'll start seeing different things about real estate. So they'll show you, like, here's a property that they just bought, and maybe they spent $7 million on it, and then you see a picture of it, and it's kind of like it looks like a townhome or a row home, but it's in an expensive area, so it's millions of dollars because of what they did inside of it. But the thing is that they bought it maybe for 2 or 3, and they put, or 5, and then they put millions of dollars into renovating it. And then they turn around and later on they sell it, and they sell it not because they have this perfect taste and they're the only ones that know how to put that house or that property together and make it look that way, but because it used to be their house. And if you also pay a little closer attention, you'll find in those magazines, in those articles, that it's actually a sales message, because some of them they're trying to sell, and they're telling you who the neighbors are. So you're in the neighborhood with Ellen DeGeneres, or you're in the neighborhood with Tom Cruise, or whatever the case may be. So there's all kinds of things behind these marketing messages and these stories, and the story is what sells. It's not content of any type, it's the story. So the story is that, this is where Jennifer Aniston lived, or this is where Muhammad Ali lived, or something, someone like that, somebody that a lot of people recognize their name. And then the person who's buying it, who has more money than they know what to do with, is buying it for the bragging rights of, oh yeah, I bought Richard Gere's house last year, or I bought this house and my next door neighbor is Richard Gere, or whatever the case may be. So it's a way for people to connect with celebrities that gives them a certain feeling, a gratification about what they just did. Okay, so with all that said and done here, most of us are not in the in the limelight, or we haven't positioned ourselves properly, or we just absolutely don't live in the right area to connect with those, we'll just call them superstars, the elite of the elite. So I want you to think about differences in what we mean by a celebrity. All right, so let's just kind of move on to the next slide here. See what's going on with this. Okay, so before we get into the meat of this technique and this plan and the way that this would work, is you got to understand that you're controlling the property however you're controlling it, whether you're buying it outright, whether you have maybe put cash against it, maybe you're just leasing it with the right to sublease it with a purchase agreement tied to that, and then you're going to sell it, on the back end, somewhere on the back side of this whole deal that you started. You're controlling the property either before or after the celebrity becomes part of this deal. So think about this from now on when I say celebrity, that you're creating an affiliate agreement with someone, a person of interest. Okay? So when I say celebrity, I'm not just talking about Scarlett Johansson. I'm talking about people who are celebrities, whether they're internationally known, nationally known, maybe just in a state, maybe just in a county, maybe just in a township, maybe just in an area or a region. Okay, so you're controlling this property sometimes before the celebrity is part of this, or sometimes it's after the celebrity is part of this. Okay, so let's move on to this. So when we connect with a celebrity, this person may have, why we're looking for building the story around the marketing message of selling this property. So they may have stayed in the house. Maybe they live there, several months out of the year. Maybe it's just they only stayed there one weekend. Maybe they only threw a party in the house, or maybe it's their go-to place when they're doing a party, and they do 3 a year. So you're looking to connect with that. Maybe they did, one of the places that a long time ago, one of my students and I were doing together, it was a castle out in California, and MTV, let's see, who was it? It was MTV, and I forget which show it was now at this point in time, but we were setting up a video shoot for one of the people through MTV, one of the shows through MTV that was going to shoot in it, kind of like maybe Big Brother or The Bachelor or Bachelorette or something. It was a show through MTV. So maybe just a video shoot occurred with people that no one knows until the show airs, and then everyone knows it. Well, of course, people become famous overnight, like on a reality show like Survivor. They become, a superstar overnight to that following, to that audience that likes that show. And at the same time that the person or the people do, so does the area that they're doing this. Like, for example, Survivor, there's these beaches that it's usually a tropical beach where Survivor shot. And so the beach becomes a place of interest because people never even knew it existed and it looked like that until that show was shot there. Or it could be a show that shot in a really nice house, and so no one knew that house existed, but now all of a sudden they've seen this house, and oh, by the way, that house is for sale if you're interested in it. So imagine the bragging rights of a person saying, oh yeah, I bought the house where The Bachelor is filmed at all the time, or I bought the house where such and such had their wedding, or shot this one scene in this movie, or what have you. And it doesn't have to be a movie that's a very top-notch A-rated movie. It could be an independent film that just got a little bit of traction. There's an audience there for it. And just like we build buyers list, and people who are interested in our properties, we might have in one property, there might be 400 people that are interested in that property, and only 7 of them really have the capability of buying it or want to buy it. So if we have a video shoot there, and there's a following of 1,800 people, and 7 of them are interested in that property, and 2 of them can buy it, we only need 1. So, all right, it could be where, a celebrity, we've been talking about movie stars mostly right now, but now let's just kind of go in a little bit more. Maybe it's someone who wrote a song. They may not even be the singer. They just wrote a part of a song. It could be a popular song, but the person who wrote it may not be well known at all, but they've got credit for writing all of it, or maybe just a verse of the song, and it could have been inspired in that property. All right, so movie scripts, a piece of a movie could have been shot there, or just sitting down on a napkin and writing down in the kitchen of this one house. That's where they came up with the idea of blah, blah, blah. I remember, this takes me back when I was in Ireland. I went to this one, it was a rundown ruin of a castle. It was like I think it was like pre 14th or 13th century, somewhere in that, and it wasn't well maintained. But there was one man who was responsible, and he was a really delightful person to sit and talk with. So we spent 2 or 3 hours talking with this guy. Well, there was this one table that was in that castle that wasn't in there when it was built, or maybe it was, but it was the table that was used, that William Penn sat down and structured out the layout of parts of the way Pennsylvania was going to be structured. So it was kind of interesting. Here's this little piece of furniture in this. Now, did it happen in that castle, or did it happen somewhere else where that table may have been? I don't remember the rest of it. But the bottom line is, if you have the control of a piece of real estate where something as important as that took place, imagine having the table, or you have not the table, but you have the house or the building that the Declaration of Independence was first starting to be drafted up, bits and pieces of it, not where it was all completely done and over with and signed, but what they decided to put into it, and people were brainstorming of what they felt should go into there. So you can connect celebrity-wise based on all different avenues. Everything that could be inspired, an idea, a thought that becomes a little bit popular or known to a small group or a large group of followers, that's the connection that I'm trying to get you to understand how to make. Okay? All right, so who? Let's go down a little bit. This is certainly not the end of the list. This is the beginning of just stimulating some thought on your part. So Hollywood, we could deal with actors, writers, producers, directors, people who do the screenplay, people who maybe there's a construction crew that's responsible for always building the set props for an old show like Lost. I mean, that used to be a new show. Now it's it hasn't been out. It finished years ago. But maybe it was the ones who did everything for the layout of the old MASH TV series. I think it was in the 70s or 60s, somewhere in there, probably the 60s. But connecting with who? It could be the guy that's responsible for all the lighting of, maybe a really great dance and light show type movie that went out, but the person that did all that, they didn't make a lot of money. They don't have any kind of celebrity. Nobody's going to go up to them looking for their autograph. But in the marketing message, if it's described, oh yeah, Alan such and such is the one who, he used to do all of the he's the one that set up all the bench seat scenes for the movie Forrest Gump. And so just keep that in mind. This does not mean that this is a person that everybody would know just because you said their name. If you describe what went on, that's enough of a bragging rights for the buyer to say, oh yeah, I bought the place at such and such or so-and-so. Maybe the outside in the backyard, that's where Kobe Bryant shot his first basketball goals when he was a kid, in the backyard with a basketball goal that was attached to a tree in the dirt, so and I'm just making it up right now, but the bottom line is, remember, you're connecting to people who have done something that's noteworthy. All right, independent film, that's really big for especially us when we don't have the direct connection with the superstars out there. There's a lot of independent films that got a little bit of traction that people love, and there's some actors that are regulars in the independent film industry, but nobody would know them walking down the street if you just seen them, but they might know the film. All right, authors of books. Maybe it was just a piece of a book that was an inspiration while they were living there or while they were visiting there. They may live somewhere else and they came and they visited one of their friends that's in this house, and then that's the house you're taking over. And someone as simple as let's go down a different road for a second. Let's say that Frank Lloyd Wright, who is a very famous architect, maybe some of his inspiration, he was a very creative architect, so some of his inspiration may have come from visiting his cousin or something in some town that you own the real estate, where his cousin used to own that house, and he visited there, and that's where he started writing or designing the Guggenheim or what have you. So there's a lot of different ways that you can look at who. People in commercials on TV, like the one that comes to my mind all the time is Flo from the Progressive commercials. That girl. She's at least nationally famous, maybe internationally famous, but she's just representing a marketing message that's an insurance company. And so Flo's not an actor. She's not a movie star, but she's well known, and so it's bragging rights for the person that gets to buy this place from you, saying that, yeah, Flo used to live here. This is where Flo lived when she was a little girl, or Flo lived right across the street, or something like that. Okay, athletes. They don't have to be national or international. They don't have to be Super Bowl champions, World Series. They don't have to be any of that. It can be a local athlete that really, really did well and, set all kinds of records in the local area. That is a celebrity to the local people. And so it becomes the possibility of the bragging rights. Olympic stars, near misses, even contenders. Just knowing, like one of my oldest daughter's friends, she used to be an Olympic contender. She was a contender. Now, she never went to the Olympics, but she gets some recognition just because she was a contender. All right. Winners of awards and medals. So different types of awards, honorary awards, things like that can turn a person into a local celebrity or a national, international Hall of Famers. There's the Hall of Fame, NFL Hall of Fame, but there's all different types of places where people become famous. It could be as simple as people in a small backwoods town. In the museum, their name is there because they donated stuff. Like there's a man that when we go and eat lunch a lot of times at this little restaurant called Miss Jean's, there's a man who's a World War II veteran, and he just recently donated some uniforms that have some unique patches on them that are about units that don't exist anymore and didn't exist except in that one small period of time that he was in the unit, where you could wear this and that recognition at the same time because of the units that were either dissolved or split up. So it's a unique uniform that no one else has. It doesn't exist anywhere else. So, and obviously just normal standard veterans can become superheroes or something, or local heroes to our community. Again, musicians, politicians, that's another area. Love them or hate them, but they become political. When they become political, a lot of people know who they are, whether they win or not. Think how popular or how well known Hillary Clinton's name is now, and she lost. So you can just keep on going on and on and on with who. All right, so now let's talk about putting this whole thing together. Now that you know how to look for a celebrity, then I'm going to go out on a limb here and just go a little bit further. Let's say that it's a person that always enters golden retriever dogs into dog shows and wins 3/4 of the shows that she enters. Well, she enters them, or he enters them, either one of them, And they win because they have a certain talent about this. It gives them a little bit of celebrity status. So in the world of following golden retriever competition, that person is a superstar to those followers. So anyway, okay, now I'm going to leave that alone. Now you understand how to identify celebrities. So now what do you do to take advantage of this? So again, you're looking for bragging rights. And so when you have a property that you controlled either before or after the celebrity got involved, you have to be careful of trademarking of names and all. So you got to make sure that you're doing it legally. You're going to have an attorney involved in that to help make sure that you're doing everything that you're supposed to do and the way you're supposed to do it. But if you have an agreement with this celebrity that, hey, I want to work with you. I want to get 17 houses, and I want to attach your name to this, and not just have it be a marketing message where, Bill Collins says that you should buy these 17 houses just because Bill Collins is a well-known celebrity to you, and he thinks that you should get them. It's not about that. What we're interested in is Bill Collins is connected to them. So let me take you into a different world for a minute. So there's this little town right down the street from where I'm at, and it's between me and Fort Stewart, and it's called Richmond Hill. Richmond Hill is a kind of like a go-between between Fort Stewart and the city of Savannah. So if you're stationed at Fort Stewart in the Army, you're stationed at Fort Stewart, your family either lives really close to Fort Stewart, and then they have the limited access to the city life of what the city provides by being restricted by a little town called Hinesville. Hinesville's got a couple of little things there to do, but it's not like a city. Now Savannah is a decent sized city, but it's not a metropolis. Now I don't want you to think that. But in between Savannah and Fort Stewart is this town, Richmond Hill. So a lot of times the military, especially the ones that have been in for a little while, so they have a little better salary, a little better housing allowance, they can afford to live in Richmond Hill, and they drive 20 some miles to Fort Stewart for work, and then that's the service member, and then the spouse and the family, they're driving somewhere around 15 or 20 miles to the south side of Savannah to get to the things that the city offers, the city of Savannah offers that the city of Hinesville is not big enough to offer. So in this little town of Richmond Hill, there's this one little section, this one little neighborhood that has these little tiny 2 and 3 bedroom houses, and they all have either the glass doorknobs or they have the white ceramic type doorknobs in the house, and that kind of gives you the age. It's they're all hardwood floors, heart pine flooring, and all. In a lot of them have like the lath with the interior inside stucco. It's not called stucco. It's called I can't think of what it's called right now. But they have the inside framing structure is old style. Well, this was a little development that Henry Ford, yes, the car maker, that Henry Ford had decided that he wanted to do this little neighborhood. So those homes are referred to as the Henry Ford homes. Not a home that Henry Ford lived in, but a development that he had some part in having it get developed and then a home sold. So most people don't even know that. Even the ones that live in that area don't even know that those are Henry Ford homes. So you have to kind of be like a little bit of a geek looking into the historical setup of how that whole design occurred from the beginning. So that means that Henry Ford's name was on those homes, and it meant something back then. So today, if you were going to sell one of those homes, then you would say something along the lines of that this was this was part of the Henry Ford project or whatever the case may be. So that doesn't mean that you have to find something that somebody did, 80 years ago. You can find something that you want to do and then have a celebrity. Maybe it's the local news anchor person in your area, and that celebrity joint ventures with you on this little project of 10 homes. And so it's the homes that anchor man such and such or so and so was part of, developing this little 10 house project. So connecting with a celebrity, or finding places that celebrities already were, or providing a place for celebrities to come to do some of their work. Or maybe it's maybe you find a celebrity that might be like known throughout your state. Maybe it's a politician that's at the governor level that comes to this one house, and you structure this whole new charity organization that you want the celebrity politician to kind of endorse. And that whole thing took place in this one house. Maybe it's a product or a service that you created, and you want to put a celebrity's name attached to it. Maybe you want to create a fitness program, and you want to bring someone in who's part of, who would be like a face on that fitness plan, and that person's got a little bit of celebrity, recognition to them. And then you set it up to where that house was where we shot the first training video to teach that individual how to do that workout. And so it just attaches a celebrity piece to it. So imagine if you had the house that had maybe a little gym, or maybe it was an outdoor on the side of a house where you let's see, what's the guy's name? Tony Horton. Tony Horton created the P90X program. I think it was Sean T did this Insanity program. All of it's under Beachbody, but anyway, so maybe that first piece, or maybe maybe there's 18 different pieces to that video, and 1 and 17 were shot at this house, 14 and 12 were shot at that house, and you connect that way. So parts of P90X was made right here. So I'm starting to kind of beat this to death now, but I just want to kind of bring this into light. So now the only thing that you need to do is, number one, make sure that with your attorney that you're doing everything that's proper, legal, ethical, that you can use that celebrity status name with, because a lot of times their names are trademarked, things that they do are trademarked. Sometimes there's things that they can't promote because let's go back to a fitness thing. Let's say that you've got a celebrity that's well known who's doing a diet program of Weight Watchers. Let's say that they've become a spokesman for Weight Watchers, and they may have signed an agreement that says that they can't do any other type of fitness or diet program with anyone else for X number of years during them being the spokesperson, and after they're no longer the spokesperson. So then you couldn't do something with them along those same lines. You could do something like a house deal or something, but you can't say that they're part of your fitness plan because they may have something that says that they can't. So it's not only the celebrity saying you can't use my name, but it's also who it is they're doing something for that says that you can't use their name. So you don't want to be the person trying to figure that out on your own when you get to that level. Okay, so now you've got the permission, you're good to go with doing all that, and now it's just part of your marketing message. It's something that can increase the value, especially if it's being sold to people who appreciate that celebrity that's tied to this. If it's a follower of that, how many people would want to say, if they absolutely love all of the Indiana Jones movies, and they want to say, this is where Harrison Ford used to practice his whip cracking routines. And it was right here in the side yard, and it was in the basement, and it echoed better, so he kind of got used to understanding how to crack that whip better based on the echo, because he was doing it in the basement. And again, I'm just making this up now. I'm just grabbing stuff out of thin air. But if you really love the Indiana Jones series and Harrison Ford, you're willing to pay a little more money for that property. It's a little more valuable to you. Okay, So that's pretty much how you connect celebrities to real estate. Now, of course, when you get into the world of the well-known celebrities, then you can make a lot of money along with them. And of course, you're doing a share with them, and whatever the agreement is, the agreement is. So, a percentage of the profit is going to the celebrity, and a percentage of the profit is going to you. But it just puts you, then you get to say you're the person that did the, whether you love her family or hate her family, you did the Kim Kardashian deal over there on the south side, because she did some things at that property, and you were able to make an agreement with her and through her mom to be able to use what it is that she was able to do. So it's just a matter of being able to take someone's recognition out there, and put a marketing message together and put it in front of people who would be interested to have those bragging rights. Typically, it's going to be their followers, but it may not be someone who ever even thought about following that person. But then all of a sudden, they've fell in love with this house, and then they get to add to it. Yeah, not only did we fall in love with it, but let me tell you who this is. I didn't even know who it was until yesterday, but this person is blah, blah, blah. And so it's a bragging rights thing. Okay, so celebrity real estate is a way for you to up the value a little bit more than just going, okay, well, let's paint it, and let's put new flooring, and let's add a bathroom, and let's add a bedroom. What I'm trying to tell you is, let's add a story that's based on people with popularity and followers that will connect, that story will resonate well with. Okay, so Courtney, let's see if there's any questions out there on this. Any questions?
Okay. Yep, Donald has a question. So Donald, I'm going to unmute you. You need to unmute yourself and then go ahead.
How about that? Can you hear me?
Hey, Donald, I hear you. This is Joe.
Okay. Hey, Joe. Appreciate you taking my question. And so I'll have a little money here in about 90 days.
Okay.
Probably around 30,000.
Okay.
Between 30 and $50,000, and I'm a passive investor in a multi-family deal, and I have been a single-family rental owner for probably 10
For how long?
years. But I just divested myself of those. I had several, probably about 10, 12. Well, actually, it's longer than that. I think 97 is when I had my first rental. So what does that make?
So 20 years, and you've done some rental properties. How many rental properties do you have?
I had two. I had,
okay.
And they were at different times. I kind of backed into both of those, and rather than belaboring that issue, I'll tell you that some other time. But
my wife did the same thing, but she knocked down the garage door when she did it. No, I'm just kidding. But that's the God's honest truth. But go ahead.
I understand. So anyways, so my question to you is that I had several businesses that had done poorly and it failed. Our credit went bad on us, and so I think that we're not creditworthy to most commercial lenders and such. But I'm really very interested in doing some things. I go into Bigger Pockets a lot and read a lot of their stuff. I've read the book about investing with No or Little Money Down from Brandon Turner, and I really listen to and watch a lot of your stuff on YouTube and such. But my question would be, are there lenders out there? I'd like to be able to do some buy and holds. And so the two-pronged question is, are there lenders out there that will lend to people that, have dastardly credit, that are getting into properties that would be buy and hold? And secondly, how do you structure deals where you get into partnerships or agreements with people that have a pretty strong property that they want to be able to buy and hold, or do you in fact get into those type of relationships?
Yeah, I mean, I get into all different kinds of relationships. I do not loan money to anyone else on their deals. I'm way too eh, I'm a control freak. And so the
Sure.
deals that I put my money into, I am in full control of them, and they're in my local area. So they're within 50 miles of me, and typically they're within 30 miles of me. So, but I know what I'm doing. I've been doing it for a long time. Not picking on anyone else, but there's just no one else out there that I want to go out there and have someone's money or my money investing in someone else's deal a long ways away where I can't control it. I'm narcissistic about that, and the people that are in deals with me, they appreciate it tremendously because there's so many mistakes that can be made. But I do coach people through doing their deals and how to do it and what to do. Now, as far as the question about are there people that loan money to people with crappy credit, and the answer is yes. Are there organized companies or organized lenders out there that do? Usually not. But I'll turn you on to something that's real easy. It's called the Scotsman's Guide. And if you go to, I guess it's scotsmansguide.com. If that's not it, just give us a call back, and Courtney can pull one of the magazines and see what their website is. But I believe that's what it is. And on there, there's residential, and then there's a completely separate magazine for commercial. And once you get yourself on their list, then they'll mail you hard copies if you ask for it every month. And in there's every type of lender you can think of. And the thing that's kind of cool about it, just to kind of understand the difference in the times. So in 2008, when everything started going, tanking pretty bad in the traditional world, not in our world. Our world just blew up like crazy, even more so, in a great way. But in their world, in everybody else's world, everything fell apart. But the Scotsman's Guides went from, and I want to say maybe 3/4 of an inch thick magazine, and this is a magazine that's almost twice the size of a regular magazine, not in thickness, but the cover. When you're looking at the cover, it's a much wider and much larger than a standard magazine. So, but it went from 3/4 of an inch in 2008 down to maybe 1/4 of an inch thick in like 2012, maybe even up to 2014. And now it's back up to much, much, much thicker and getting fuller every day as restrictions start going away, as the economy starts really taking off, as like Dodd-Frank and things like that starting to be removed, all the restrictions with Dodd-Frank and all on the lenders. So you'll see a lot more creative lending that's going to be going on here. So then that'll start freeing up to where if your credit is horrible, there's still a few here and there. Now there's tons of private lenders, and I always tell people stay away from a hard money lender unless you really, really, really know what you're doing and got a good solid plan. But private lenders they don't care about your credit. They care about how this whole thing's structured, where the money's coming from every month, and what the system is in place. So there's a lot of different things there. There's a lot of things that I work with people on in the mentoring program. I make sure that they're all set up and understanding and looking for that and having the right answers to the questions and putting the right system in place so that they can get that. Now you asked me something else about how I structure deals that have. Ask that part again.
Well, I was just I wanted to know how. The other question is to being able to invest for buy and hold, and how you structure those deals with lenders.
Okay, so are you in my Jumpstart or not?
No, I'm not in Jumpstart. I'm just in your
okay.
regular online.
So and I'm not gonna end you with this answer here, but you really need to get into Jumpstart because it's very easy to do tons of deals with no more than $10. I mean,
Sure. And I asked Courtney, she must have forgot about me, and that's okay, because I'm easily forgettable. But I asked her if you offered a military discount.
Yes, I do. Yes.
Okay. I thought you did. I thought I remembered you saying that.
Yep. Yep. You have to ask for it directly. We don't publicize it anywhere, but when you ask for it, yes, we do. All right, but let's go back to you really should get into Jumpstart because there's a ton of things. I just had a student here last night in my office, and they happens to be a local. This she happens to be an Oakland student, and she has a lady that she brought in that's the seller. So literally, we're sitting here doing a deal for one of her houses, and out of that came a two house deal. So now we're looking at, instead of a $150,000 deal, now we're looking at a $580,000 deal that we're doing with the seller, and each one of those. So we're spending $20 on that, and how much will we make off of that? It'll be tens of thousands of dollars, but I can't tell you, what it is, because it's
Sure.
starting to happen right now. But there'll be plenty of money made off of that. But she has the benefit of utilizing me. Now she happens to be in front of me doing this deal, but I do that same thing over the phone, where I negotiate out the deal with the seller, just like I did here last night.
Sure.
I negotiate out with the seller, then I negotiate with the buyers. We find the buyers, we work together, and that's the joint venturing, and that's the mentoring program, and that's where all that comes from. That's how all that works. There's so
Right,
many
I
different
understand.
things that get thrown at people, and if they just have a few years, 20 years, 30 years experience, they miss out on a lot of stuff. I've got 5 decades of experience of my own, and then I have my parents and my grandparents' experience that happened to them, and a lot of that was negative, which really helped set the tone for my businesses and the way that I set them up, so that I didn't go down the road of all the mistakes that people made, because I watched it happen to my family. And you don't do this, that, and the other, and here's why, because I remember watching what happened to them.
Yes, exactly.
So
Like lend your money to other people to do their deals.
well, it's not necessarily a problem, because that other person might be better than you, and so you might be better off doing it that way. But if they're not better than you, and you don't know how to look for the right type of system, and look for the indicators that say that shows that they're not better than you, then you're sitting there just taking a heck of a chance. But they might, you might be close to someone who has a solid system where they've got 1,800 buyers on a list for a specific type of house that they're trying to buy. They already know what the people are willing to pay them for it, and you might not have a buyer's list built at all, and you think you're better at buying a house and then finding a buyer, and they already have the buyers and they haven't bought the house yet. So who would be better utilizing that money? So
Right.
so that's kind of the thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Can I
All
ask you one last question?
Well, wait a minute. I haven't answered the one that I told you I was going to answer.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
okay, go ahead.
there's a lot of different ways where we spend $10 and we take over the property, whether we're leasing it with the right to sublease it, or we're buying it subject to, and you'll learn all about what
Right.
subject to is in Jumpstart. Don't just think that you know what subject to is based on what my competition says, because a lot of them have never done it, so they really don't know how to do a subject to and the full depth of what you can do with a subject to, because they haven't done it.
Right.
But so there's a lot of different ways where we can take over that house. It's still got the same debt on it that the seller had, and it stays on there, but it's our house now, and we're able to make money off of that property. Okay? All right, so what's that last
Right.
question you were going to ask?
I was going to ask you, what about smaller towns that don't seem to particularly have any industry in them? And let's say they're 45 minutes outside of a medium-sized city.
Okay, so what? Well, go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off before you ask your question.
Well, I guess I would say something like, I guess let's just choose Augusta, because I know a little bit about Georgia. I don't know Augusta very well. I don't even know how big it is. Savannah is probably even a better example. Savannah's not a big town, but it's not a small town either.
260,000 population.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, let's say that's probably about as big as, say, a Wichita Falls, Texas, or something like that.
Okay.
And let's say it's 45 minutes outside of there. Are you hesitant to look at a smaller town that's say 6,000 people? Are you hesitant to look at properties in that area and take over? When it doesn't seem like there's a lot of industry?
No, because I'm not focusing on industry. I'm not focusing on any of that stuff that the traditional world would tell you to look at. What I'm focused on is letting the market speak to me first. So I'm going to build a buyer's list in an area that I'm thinking about investing or being, doing deals in that doesn't cost me anything. I'm going to build this buyer's list and see what people are willing to pay for places like this in an area like that, and what it is that they have to work with. Okay,
I
so
see.
so that's going to tell me it doesn't matter if the population is 6,000. If I can sell 18 houses there and make $250,000 on each one, do I want to go do that?
Right.
All right. So, but the bottom line is that it's not about that. It's more about what is the market going to tell me that I can do. Now, I can judge how many deals, how many buyers you should have on your list based on the population, but as far as how much money you can make, it's never a consideration as to, well, there's only 6,000 in that town. Now, if I see that the population, if I do my quick little study of the population was 80,000, then the next year it was 70,000, and then 40,000, and then 20,000. Something's wrong there, and then I got to try to figure out, well, why is everybody moving away from there? And it could be opportunity like crazy there, but it may be that that's not a good place for me to invest because they found out there's something wrong with the water there, or they found out something's wrong with the soil there, or what have you.
Right. That makes sense. It's like a Flint, Michigan, or something like that.
Right. Yeah, but also when everybody's skying up from the area, that's exactly how Paris Hilton's grandfather, Conrad Hilton, got filthy stinking rich, because he knew that it was logistically impossible for the Japanese during World War II to attack our motherland and sustain any type of ability to win a battle against our motherland. So in the 40s, when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, a lot of people were in fear along the West Coast, thinking that the Japanese were going to come and invade our country, because that's what the Japanese did to several different countries out there. That was their kind of like their calling card. They would go attack the motherland of the country. They'd rape the women, they'd kidnap the children, and they'd kill the men. And they were very vicious in that era. But Conrad knew that it was virtually impossible for them to do any kind of damage to our motherland because of how far away they were from us. Hawaii was way out there, but the motherland, that's a whole different ballgame. And so he went out and put options all up along the West Coast on real estate for people that were just willing to just run the other way and get away from it. And that's how he started his entire empire. So
Interesting. He thought it through really well.
Yeah.
I guess my only follow-up question to that one would be, you talked about building your buyer's list, and I know you do a lot of your business that way, and building your buyer's list and then finding houses for those buyers. But what about, for example, for lack of a better term, renters lists? For example, if I'm looking to buy and hold in a small town like that.
Inevitably, you're going to be building a renter's list when you do it the way that you're taught in Jumpstart. You're just not going to believe how massive it's going to become for you, and you're going to love it better, and you're going to have renters that are not your traditional landlord/renter. You're going to have lease purchase tenant and buyers who are going to take care of the property and maintain it. And you're going to make more money off of that with lots more skin of theirs in the game, but yet you're still just renting. So
the answer is go to Jumpstart in June back in Savannah.
Yeah, well, June is the advanced boot camp now. So Jumpstart is the beginning one, and then June is the advanced.
And when will the Jumpstart be?
Jumpstart is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's online.
That's all online. That's right.
Yeah, it's modular. You can do that anytime during the day or night that you want.
That's right. Okay, good.
Okay.
Well, I'll be calling you back probably in the next couple of weeks. It's when paycheck comes around, and we're gonna work on getting involved. So.
Okay. All right. Glad to have you.
Thanks so much, Joe.
You're welcome. Hey, Courtney, any other questions there?
Nope, I don't have any.
Okay. All right, Courtney, then let's go ahead and sign off here. All right, everyone. So the Advanced Real Estate Bootcamp is in June, 19 through 22 June, near Savannah, Georgia. I'm not going to tell you the exact address. It might be in one of my office complexes, and it might be in one of the local hotel conference rooms. We'll see yet to be determined on that, where we're going to do that. Okay, everybody have a good day now. Bye.